This is the Grand Boulevard of the Bronx. Some people know it as the Champs-Élysées of the Bronx. It is Grand Concourse, but there is an interesting history as to why this was built in the first place.
They wanted to connect the Bronx, the mainland, to Manhattan. So they thought about this Grand Boulevard designed after the Champs-Élysées in Paris. It opened between 1901 and 1908. It was designed by Louis Ries. He was a French immigrant. He was an engineer, and he was living in the Bronx at the time. And the story goes that he was hunting one day in the 1870s, and he was on a high ridge on the west part of the Bronx, and he envisioned this grand highway connecting Manhattan to the continental United States.
So as you're walking along the Grand Concourse, pay attention to these beautiful Art Deco and Art Moderne buildings, because there's some very interesting detailing. It might not be as elaborate as the Champs-Élysées in Paris, but if you look closely to the details, you'll be stunned.
So when the Grand Concourse opened, you didn't have much of these tenement buildings yet. You still had these Victorian style houses, a lot of Queen Anne residences. It was not until the 1920s and 30s that you saw this type of development happening on the Grand Concourse. It's 4 miles long, and it's a marvel. It's an architectural marvel as well.
Right.
The Grand Concourse holds, outside of Miami, some of the highest percentage of Art Deco buildings, Art Moderne buildings, and all types of architecture. It also evokes that earlier time when the Bronx was on the up and coming, just growing at the turn of the 20th century. It was still part of New York County. So there was a lot of development, and building these grand boulevards and these streets, these broad streets, was quite the thing to connect development from one to another. So that's the Grand Concourse. The Grand Concourse, a famous resident, Stanley Kubrick, lived on the Grand Concourse. Bill Finger, he was co-creator of Batman. Lauren Bacall lived on the Grand Concourse. Even Edgar Allan Poe's cottage on the Grand Concourse in East Kingsbridge Road.
Now that you know about the past of the Grand Concourse, what do you think is its future? Stay curious, my friends.